How to restart life again. Introduction. There are moments in life when everything seems misaligned. The things that once brought you joy now feel meaningless. The relationships that used to be your support system become emotionally draining. The goals you once chased no longer reflect who you are. Sometimes, there's no dramatic event, just a quiet emptiness, as if you're living on autopilot. Wake up, work, scroll through social media, sleep, repeat, but never really feel alive. If you're in that space, I want you to know you're not alone. I've been there, and so have many people I've worked with, from 14-year-olds unsure of their path, to 50-year-olds questioning everything they've built. The real question becomes, how do we begin again? Not by throwing everything away and starting from scratch, but by renewing ourselves from the inside out, with intention, direction, and depth. This series was created for that purpose. Not to preach, not to pressure, but to offer gentle, grounded steps that lead to real transformation. I won't tell you how to succeed. That's not the goal. Instead, I'll walk you through what it means to truly come back to yourself, reset your life consciously, and move forward sustainably. You don't have to be perfect to begin again. You just have to be honest and brave enough to take the first step. If you're ready, let's begin the journey. Part 1. Begin where you are, not where you should be. We often think that restarting life means changing everything. Move to a new city, quit your job, delete social media, cut off toxic relationships. But the truth is, you don't need to burn it all down to begin again. The only thing you need is honesty. Honesty with yourself. Right now, where are you in your life, truly? How are you feeling, really? What does a typical day look like, and how does it feel on the inside? Most people don't actually know where they are. Not geographically or professionally, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I once had a conversation with a friend in her early 40s. Highly successful on the surface, beautiful home, great career, loving family. But she looked me in the eye and said, I wake up every morning and wonder, if I disappeared today, would anything really change? I don't know what I'm living for anymore. That sentence stuck with me, because it revealed a deeper truth. She was no longer living in alignment with where she really was. She was chasing a version of herself that made sense on paper, but felt hollow in her soul. That's why this is the first and most essential step in any true restart. Stop trying to be where you should be and begin where you actually are. In psychology, this is called radical acceptance, facing your current reality without resistance or judgment. Not to stay stuck in it, but to know the ground beneath your feet before taking the next step. You can't use Google Maps without enabling your location. Life is the same. If you pretend you're doing fine, if you mask confusion with busyness, you'll always wander off course. The truth is, you don't need to be strong all the time. What the world needs, and what you need, is honesty. To admit, you're tired. You're confused. You're not sure what you want anymore. And that's okay. That's where real change begins, not from ambition, but from truth. So I invite you to pause, find a quiet moment, and write down: 1. How you're really feeling, unfiltered. 2. What's making you feel stuck, depleted, or disconnected. 3. What still gives you a flicker of hope, however small. That's it. No need to solve it all. Just acknowledge it. That's the starting point. You don't have to begin from the top of the mountain. You begin from where your feet touch the earth. And you don't need to be perfect to start. You just need the courage to show up, fully, honestly, right here and now. Part 2. Release the past without erasing it. There's a strange assumption many of us carry, that if we erase all visible traces of our past, the photos, the messages, the places, the people, then somehow we can start over fresh. Delete a picture, unfollow someone, move cities, repaint the walls, cut your hair, change your username. As if changing the outside can fix what still lingers on the inside. But here's the truth. What you don't consciously face will quietly follow you. Memories don't vanish just because you want them to. In fact, the more you suppress something, the more power it gains over you. usually when you're your most vulnerable. There's a difference between learning from the past and being trapped in it. The one who learns keeps the lesson and moves forward. The one who's stuck keeps the emotion and relives it in new forms. I once worked with a client in her 30s, smart, accomplished, warm, but she constantly felt like she wasn't good enough. No matter how much she achieved, there was a voice in her head that whispered, "That was just luck." Eventually, we traced it back to a memory from her childhood, being constantly compared to her older brother, hearing adults say, "Girls don't do great things." Just one belief, rooted in one moment, shaped years of self-doubt. And that's how the past works. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it whispers quietly into your decisions, your relationships, your self-worth. Psychologically speaking, painful memories get encoded alongside strong emotions like shame, fear, or anger. When we encounter similar triggers later in life, the nervous system reacts, not based on the present, but based on that old emotional blueprint. This is what's known as an emotional trigger. And unless we process that emotion, we'll keep reacting as if the original wound is still happening. That's why releasing the past is not the same as forgetting it. Releasing means changing your relationship with the memory, from victim to conscious observer, from "this defines me" to "this shaped me, but it no longer controls me." This is where the concept of forgiveness is often misunderstood. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It's not saying it's okay now. Sometimes, forgiveness is simply the act of saying, "I refuse to carry this pain any longer." You can still hurt. You can still feel unresolved. And yet, choose not to let that pain make your choices for you. That's power. That's release. One practice I often recommend is what I call the unspoken letter. No one needs to see it. You don't need to send it. But write it to the person who hurt you, or to your younger self, the one who tried so hard to hold it all together. Say what was never said. Name the wound. Honor the version of you that lived through it. And when you finish, read it back with this quiet affirmation. "This happened. It shaped me. But I'm choosing to live forward, not backward." There's a truth I deeply believe. Memory isn't your enemy. Attachment is. You don't have to erase your past. You just have to stop reliving it. Letting go is not weakness. It's an act of liberation. A declaration that you're no longer letting old pain occupy present space. You deserve the full capacity of your now. And you can't carry that if you're still dragging every version of who you used to be. Start placing down what's heavy. Not to forget, but to free your hands for what's ahead. Part 3. Clarify what truly matters now. After clearing the mental clutter, facing your present, and releasing the past, there's something essential you must do before moving forward. Get clear on what truly matters to you right now. Not in 5 years. Not what you should want, but what you today need in the next 6 to 12 months to feel aligned with who you are becoming. Because most people don't feel lost due to lack of effort. They feel lost because of lack of clarity. They keep going, doing, performing, without direction. It's like driving fast with no destination. You'll burn out, not because you're weak, but because you're aimless. I once worked with a student whose daily schedule was packed: classes, tutoring, volunteering, applying for scholarships. On the outside, she looked like the perfect overachiever. But one day, she cried during a session and said, "I don't know what I'm living for anymore. I just know I can't stop." That broke something open. Because the problem wasn't effort. It was emptiness. Without direction, effort turns into pressure. What she needed wasn't to push harder. It was to see clearer. Try this. Imagine a version of yourself 1 year from now. You're not perfect, but you feel proud, aligned, present. Now ask yourself, 1. What did I do differently to get there? 2. What did I let go of that no longer felt right? 3. What values guided my daily decisions? Write down the answers. Not for anyone else, just for you. Then, define 5 non-negotiables, the values or boundaries you no longer wish to compromise. They might look like this: daily quality time with family, saying no to unethical work, prioritizing mental health over external validation, space for creativity, refusing to abandon self-respect for connection, Once you name them, you begin to live by them. Your path starts to take shape, one small decision at a time. Another client of mine, 35 years old, worked in banking. She wasn't burned out yet, but she said, "I don't hate my job, but it's not me anymore." She didn't have a perfect plan, but she had clarity, and that clarity helped her say, "If I don't realign now, I'll still be in the same place 5 years from now, just more tired and disconnected." You don't need to overhaul your whole life in a day. Just begin making small, daily choices that align with what matters most to you now. That's how you restart your life. Not from pressure, but from purpose. Part 4. Rebuild your inner circle with people who help you grow. In the journey of starting over, one crucial step is often overlooked: evaluating and restructuring your relationships. Many people believe that changing themselves or their environment is enough. But in truth, the people you choose to stay close to play a quiet yet powerful role in shaping your growth. We're social beings, and our nervous systems are not just reactive. They're deeply responsive to the emotional energy of those around us, a phenomenon known in neuroscience as neural resonance. If you're trying to change your life but are constantly surrounded by people who doubt you, belittle you, complain, or drag you back into your old habits, no matter how strong your motivation is, you'll eventually find yourself slipping into old patterns. On the other hand, having even one or two people who genuinely understand you, who believe in you, and live the kind of values you're trying to embody, those people become catalysts. They speed up your transformation, not by fixing you, but by simply being present with clarity and trust. Psychologists talk about social mirroring. We see ourselves through how others respond to us. If they judge you, you shrink. If they pressure you, you pretend. But if they see you with respect and compassion, you begin to allow yourself to be real, to grow without guilt. That's why rebuilding your inner circle isn't about cutting out toxic people. It's about intentionally choosing who fits your new season of growth. Start by reflecting on your current circle and sort people into 3 layers of influence. The first are your expanders, not necessarily loud cheerleaders, but people who, every time you interact with them, spark a new idea, challenge your perspective, or make you want to become better. The second are your neutrals. They neither help nor harm your growth. And the third are the contractors, the people who leave you drained, second-guessing yourself, or feeling like you need to hide to be accepted. Once you have clarity, you don't need to cut ties harshly. Just redirect your energy. Spend more time with those who expand you. Let the draining dynamics quietly fade, and actively seek new spaces, a class, a book club, a quiet conversation with someone you admire. Small steps toward building a healthier relational ecosystem. One of my clients, healing after a difficult divorce, once told me, "I don't need someone to fix me. I just need someone to sit next to me, even in silence." That reminded me, sometimes what we need isn't advice or motivation. It's presence without pressure. And then, you must ask yourself, who am I becoming in someone else's circle? If you want a growth-driven circle, you can't just receive, you have to offer. Be an expander yourself, not by pushing others, but by being real, present, and kind. Every new beginning is fragile, but when it's nurtured by the right people, it becomes sturdy. So, when restarting life, don't just ask, "What should I do?" Also ask, "Who should I be around?" Part 5. Clean up your input diet, because what you consume becomes who you are. One of the most overlooked aspects of restarting your life is this. It's not just your physical space or your relationships that need clearing. You also need to clean up the mental environment you live in every single day. And that environment isn't just the room you sit in. It's everything you read, watch, listen to, and absorb. If you constantly expose yourself to content that causes anxiety, comparison, outrage, or shallow distraction, then no matter how organized your home is, your inner world will stay cluttered. That's because your brain doesn't distinguish between out there and in here when it processes input. It simply absorbs and reacts. Neuroscience shows that repeated exposure to negative or overwhelming content floods your nervous system, reduces focus, and hijacks your emotional regulation. Every time you scroll through another fear-based headline, a flashy lifestyle video, or a bitter online argument, you're feeding your mind junk food. And over time, you'll forget what thoughts are truly yours, and which ones are borrowed from fear, pressure, or societal noise. That's why, if you're serious about rebuilding your life, you must begin by cleaning your input diet. Start by noticing, who are you following? What topics dominate your feed? What voices are you constantly hearing in your earbuds? And most importantly, are these things nourishing or poisoning your inner state? I often invite my students to try a 48-hour curated input challenge. For 2 days, only allow yourself to engage with content you consciously choose, not what algorithms throw at you. Pick up that book you never finished. Listen to a podcast that expands your thinking. Write a few lines at night, reflecting on how you feel. Even 48 hours can create a noticeable shift in clarity, calmness, and how you speak to yourself. You don't have to disconnect from the world. You just need to become aware of what you're connecting with. Instead of letting content control your direction, be the one to choose your own mental fuel, the kind that helps rebuild who you want to become. One of my clients said something powerful after doing this. I realized the reason I wasn't living honestly wasn't because I was scared. It was because I was constantly consuming things that made me feel I wasn't enough. That hit me. Because restarting life isn't just about action. It's about protecting your inner life from things that distort your truth. You're in charge of your mental diet. And just as your body becomes what you eat, your identity becomes shaped by what you consume daily. Part 6. Reset your physical space to reset your mental space. There's a simple truth we often overlook. Your physical environment mirrors your inner state. Just as importantly, how you treat your space can transform the way you think, feel, and act. I remember a season of burnout. Papers everywhere, books stacked high, week-old coffee cups on my desk. Just looking at that corner felt heavy. After I finally cleaned it, the shift was immediate. The room felt lighter, and so did I. I realized, your space is the mirror of your inner world. Neuroscience supports this. Visual clutter forces the brain to process excess signals. Every stray item becomes another input demanding attention. Over time, this drains focus, elevates stress, and dulls creativity. Messy rooms don't just look chaotic. They make you feel chaotic. Where to begin? You don't need a full home overhaul. Start with 3 zones: where you sleep, where you work, and where you spend the most time. These are your energy hubs. A made bed improves sleep. A clear desk frees attention. An uncluttered living area invites connection instead of doom scrolling. Use a simple keep or let go rule. Joy, utility, growth. Does it spark joy? Is it genuinely useful? Does it support who you're becoming? If not, release it. Every item you let go removes a bit of stagnant energy that no longer serves you. Most importantly, treat decluttering as a ritual of renewal, not a chore. Folding an old shirt can feel like closing a past chapter. Wiping dust from your desk can feel like opening a new page. Each gesture whispers, I deserve a space that matches who I am becoming. A quick practice. Choose one single corner, your desk, a shelf, or your bedside table, and reset it completely, as though you're clearing the residue of an old season. Don't tackle the whole house. Do one corner well. Then sit with it and notice how your body and mind respond. When your environment shifts, your behavior follows. A clean, ordered space sends safety signals to the brain, reducing background stress and making it easier to focus, start, and sustain healthier habits. That's why resetting your space is effectively resetting your mind, opening the door to the next chapter of your life. Part 7. Build from the ground with micro-habits. There's a reason so many life reset plans collapse. We tend to start too big. One night of motivation, and we set massive goals. 1 hour of exercise daily, 50 pages of reading, strict dieting, 20 minutes of meditation. Within days, the energy fades, the nervous system rebels, and we quit. Not because we are weak, but because the brain cannot handle overload. The human brain is wired for gradual adaptation, not sudden upheaval. When bombarded with too many new demands, the nervous system perceives threat, triggers stress responses, and drains willpower. You procrastinate, feel guilty, and label yourself undisciplined. In reality, the method failed you, not the other way around. The key is not a grand plan, but micro habits. Actions so small they are almost impossible to fail. James Clear calls this the 1% rule. 1% may seem trivial, but compounded over time, it reshapes your trajectory in ways that giant leaps rarely sustain. Start with the core habits: sleep, movement, and journaling. Good sleep resets energy and emotions. Movement, even 5 minutes of stretching or walking, reminds your body it is alive. Writing a single line a day trains your mind to sort truth from passing thoughts. These three foundations work like a tripod, stabilizing your life so growth can rise upon it. How do you design an effective microhabit? The formula is simple. Make it specific, easy, and repeatable. Instead of run 5 kilometers every morning, start with put on running shoes and step outside. Instead of write 5 pages of journal, commit to one single sentence. When an action is too small to resist, consistency wins. With time, the brain naturally scales it up. A common trap is optimizing too early. People download apps, track scores, buy fancy notebooks. But habits don't need perfection. They need beginnings. What matters most is momentum, the small inertia that carries you forward, day after day. Here's a practice. Choose one 2-minute action and repeat it daily for 7 days. Drink water the moment you wake up. Write one word as your day's intention. Take 3 deep breaths before touching your phone. Simple, easy, and powerful. After a week, you'll notice a subtle shift. Confidence in your ability to follow through. I recall a student, a young mother, who initially aimed to practice 1 hour of yoga daily. She quit after 3 days. Then she tried just 3 stretches, 2 minutes total, that she could sustain. Over weeks, 3 stretches grew into 15 minutes, then 30. The breakthrough was not duration, it was repeatability. Remember, real achievement isn't born from giant leaps, but from refusing to quit. Micro habits are seeds. Plant them daily, and in time, you'll look up to find a forest rising where once there was only bare ground. Part 8. Trust the process, not the timeline. One of the most haunting fears when restarting life is the feeling of being too late. You look around and see others with careers, families, houses, and you whisper to yourself, "Why am I still here? Why haven't I achieved enough?" That fear doesn't just hurt. It builds constant pressure, like an invisible clock ticking louder each day. But the truth is, life doesn't follow a universal timeline. Society may present ideal milestones: career by 25, stability by 30, success by 40. Yet reality is far more diverse. Some start early and stumble, only to flourish at 45. Others bloom later, but with deeper roots. Psychologists call this weight social normative comparison, measuring our worth against others' pace. But in nature, no 2 trees blossom at the same time. Some bloom gloriously in spring, others wait for summer. No tree ever accuses itself of being late. It simply knows its season will come. The essence is to trust the process instead of obsessing over timelines. Growth always requires a rooting season before it shows above ground. Like a seed underground, for weeks, you see nothing, yet roots spread silently. If you dig it up too soon to check progress, you kill the very life you wish to grow. Life is the same. What looks like stagnation may actually be foundation. Neuroscience describes the disappointment of slow progress as the expectation gap. When you expect fast results, your brain releases dopamine in anticipation. When reality is slower, dopamine drops, leaving you deflated. Trusting the process means narrowing that gap, not chasing outcomes, but savoring each step. Take an example. A student of mine switched careers to design. He kept lamenting that peers his age were already managers while he was still an intern. I asked him to keep a weekly journal of skills learned, not titles earned. A year later, reading back, he saw a transformation he had missed. The comparison had been an illusion all along. A practical tool is a progress tracking system, journals, habit trackers, or sharing in a small group. Each record becomes evidence that you're moving, even if results aren't visible. And as long as you keep moving, your restart can never be a failure. Here's an exercise. Write a letter to yourself 6 months from now, imagining you've achieved nothing big. In that letter, encourage yourself. I'm still walking. I'm still rooting. When those 6 months pass, you'll be astonished at how much has quietly changed. Remember, you're not racing anyone else's timeline. You're walking your own. When you release the pressure of being on time, you free half your burden. And in that freedom, your restart stops being a race. It becomes a journey where every day lived with presence is already a victory. Conclusion: authenticity as the path to healing and connection. By the time you've walked through these 8 steps, you may realize restarting life isn't about creating a flawless new version of yourself. It's about returning to who you've always been, whole, authentic, and at peace. We've paused to face the present, released the past, clarified what matters, rebuilt circles, detoxed inputs, reset spaces, built micro-habits, and learned to trust the process. Yet all of these are means. The true destination is authenticity. Living authentically means no longer betraying your values or emotions for approval. You may move slower, but you're moving at your pace. And when you show up as yourself, you not only heal your own heart, but also create deeper, more genuine connections with others. Restarting life doesn't begin from zero. It begins from truth. And in living true, you discover the shortest path to both healing and connection.